Okay. Um, welcome to the stream. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. I hope everybody's well. So let's go ahead and send to the stream for the moment. All right. So thank you, everybody. So welcome to the stream, everybody. I hope everybody is doing very well on this Sunday afternoon. I know it's a little late. It's around 4:33 right now. Um, I know that things may be a little maybe just a little weird because I haven't streamed in about maybe like a week or two, considering like I've been busy with the actual channel, and then with my second channel going on, I I thought I would focus on that too. So but today we're gonna go ahead and watch the seventh generation of gaming, which is the seventh, which is the console of the seventh generation, which is the Xbox 360, and the Nintendo Wii. I'm gonna give you just a little bit of an overview of what the Xbox 360 really is. So, um, we're gonna start with the Xbox 360 here. Um, okay, so if you look, because I'm gonna pull up an image here. I'm gonna pull up an image. So this is what the Xbox 360 is. Let me just not go to Google Lens here. I wanna not go to Google Lens. I wanna go and search the actual image itself. So here it is. There's the Xbox 360. This normally doesn't come in black. Well, it does, but this is not what you normally would see. You probably would see more of like, what's a good picture? You would see more of like this model here. Actually, this one, actually. You would see more of this model here. Microsoft officially unveils Xbox 360. So you would see more of this model here. I think this is like model 1 or whatever. I don't know if this is the first model that originally came with the Red Ring of Death, but yeah, this is what it normally looks like. It's got silver luck and the green ring here, and the classic controller there, and with the buttons there too. But that's what it normally looks like. It doesn't normally look like what I just showed here on screen, the Walmart restored. So yeah, that's what it normally looks like. But but for the longest time, Xbox 360 had the Red Ring of Death. The games were pretty good, but mostly they were just like exclusives to the PS3. So like, I don't think. Well, actually, I think I'm getting my information somewhere. I think I pointed out at me, but yeah. But yeah, the PS3 had exclusives and and Xbox 360 didn't. Some of the games, believe it or not, on Xbox 360 came on the PC on Microsoft Windows. Uh, the operating system I think for that time was either Windows Vista or Windows 7. Windows Vista was like really hated during that time, and then Windows 7 was praised during that point in time. But yeah, Windows Vista was the um was the main operating system at that point when the Xbox 360 released. But yeah, it's a little bit of background information on the Xbox 360. The PS3. Let's see. So let's go ahead and show you the PS3 here. So this is what the PS3 actually came with originally, which is you get an original picture here of the PS3. Because all these don't really match what the original pictures were. Because I seen a lot of pictures with the same. Because I seen a lot of rant videos with the same picture. So I think we're just gonna use this one. So we're gonna use actually. Here we go. This is the original picture. So the PlayStation 3. So this is the fat model from I think 2006, by the way. Yeah, so same year. And PlayStation 3, at first it was hated. The launch was absolutely terrible. I don't know too much about the launch, but from what I heard, the launch was like abysmal compared to I think Microsoft and I think Nintendo Wii. Nintendo Wii I think was a little bit more successful, but the PS3 over time got some really good titles, and there are exclusives for the PlayStation 3. It's been the subject of hacking, of course, like most other systems. Even though Sony um, isn't really known for the hacking capabilities of the systems, but yeah, the PS3 was plagued with like really bad with just like bad hacking capabilities. Like people would hack the system and mess with the servers, and or play some ROM games on there, which I'm not downplaying like the right like the ROMs. The ROMs are actually really fun, but this was like a big target for hacking, even though the Wii was the biggest one because homebrew and such. But yeah, and there was a lot of games that were really good on the system, and of course it supported the Blu-ray and the online, which first of all I think that was from Xbox 360 that the first online thing was up there. So actually, no, that was Nintendo Wi-Fi connection with the DS. Sorry, but yeah, the first official like online thing was with Xbox Live, but yeah, and the online wasn't that great either on the PS3. I think it's better now, but I don't think it was good like that many years ago. But yeah, that's the PS3 for you all. Um, let's see. Let's see the Nintendo Wii. I've seen a lot of information on this system. Um, I don't really know their code names. And sorry, I'm gonna eat a snack here because I just actually I'm kind of hungry. Let me go ahead and drink for a little bit. Okay, so now on to the Nintendo Wii. So let's go on and see the Nintendo Wii here for a second. Okay. I'm gonna just quit out of these. So Nintendo Wii. Nintendo Wii. So I'm gonna show you the prototype first to let you get like a representation of what the Wii was supposed to actually look like at the time of development. So here is the Nintendo Revolution, later called Nintendo Wii. So it came in like 4 different colors. So the reveal was actually really good. I like the reveal a lot. I still go back and watch the reveal myself a lot of times. So that was a really good one. But originally it was gonna be like this. I think this is more of like a prototype. So yeah, but I really did like the color that it came with. They should have stuck with gray, and I think the red one, and the black one they could have uh, gotten as like a special release, um but yeah, like the gray one never saw the light of day, nor the green one. Red I think was a special edition. White was like the original color for the Wii, and then black was like a special edition for like the Wii Motion Plus. Even the red one was the Wii Motion Plus, but never saw a lime green one or a gray one, which was kind of weird. But yeah, um, the Wii. Let me gear your attention towards the Nintendo Wii here, and let me show you here. So Wii. So I'm gonna use this picture as an example. Actually, I think that's way too small. I'm gonna just use this one as an example. So Nintendo Wii. So it it was marketed like in 2006. Every console in the 7th generation came out in either 2005 or 2006, around that time frame. And the Wii, I think, was the last one to get something. It was the last one of the bunch to get some market share. So, it was really popular at the time. Don't get me wrong, it was really popular. But honestly, if we look back at it now, um, the Wii, it's more or less shovelware, as everybody kind of seems to call it now. And I think that was the same with the predecessor, the Wii U. But yeah, the Wii was plagued with a lot of shovelware. It was a battleground for hacking, homebrew, and everything else. It was a big target for homebrew, unfortunately. And even though there's like ROMs and ROM hacks of different games that you can play on, which are really fun. But yeah, this unfortunately did get the homebrew hacking target. But yeah, the online wasn't that great. It was just kind of hard to get the code and stuff, but I figured people wouldn't care much for the Wii's Online at this point, which is like I believe like 10 years out of date at this point, because right now it's 2024, and the online was discontinued about like 10 years ago. So people don't really talk about it anymore as much. But yeah, the Wii, it did get a lot of great games. Mostly they're for first party titles like Wii Sports or Mario or Metroid or Zelda, like those popular titles. But never really got the light of day when it came to third party titles like Call of Duty. Um, the third party titles always got the shovelware, sort of. So that was kind of something. But yeah, um, the Nintendo Wii was successful, but it was just plagued with so many problems. So that's kind of my 2 cents about that. Anyway, we're gonna get the into the videos that we're gonna watch here today. So first off, we're gonna check out Face Destroyer Inc. video, which is Leisure Suit Gaming 2, as he used to call himself. But yeah, his gaming discussions. I mean, it was good. It was really good. Do keep in mind though that this user kind of like swears a lot. So if you don't like the swearing, then I suggest I kind of suggest you don't watch this, because honestly, if you want more clean stuff, there's the other videos that I'm gonna showcase here for you guys today. But this is one of the more dirty, I would say, like language. Yeah.
List here for a minute, okay?
So here we go. I'm gonna start from the very beginning. It's gonna be like 43 minutes. We're not gonna watch the whole entire thing. But it's pretty good. And this is not the original user's video. This is Greatest Noises video. So credit to him.
What's up, bitches? It's Rob. I just want to get on here and talk for a little while about some things that I've missed since I've been gone. Stuff game related, stuff computer related. First thing I wanted to cover was the total failure known as Halo ODST, or Halo WGEM, worst game ever made. This 3-hour mission pack, literally, it's $20 an hour to play this game. It's $60, and it's 3 hours to finish this fucking thing. My brother got it at 9 o'clock, and I shit you not, beat it at noon. He was done at noon, and ended up trading in about 1 o'clock. So it was overall about a 4-hour experience. I guarantee the fucking Halo designers at Bungie are playing Modern Warfare 2 right now, crying themselves to sleep as they play it. Don't fucking even tell me. That game, I mean, see, because I compare Modern Warfare 2 to eating a steak dinner. All the trimmings, while a hot ass bitch sucks your fucking dick. Halo ODST, on the other hand, I compare it to eating a Jello pudding pop and getting raped by Bill Cosby. It's pretty damn close, okay? It's pretty damn close. Nobody, even the Halo fanatics that I know fucking say this game sucks. And all the glowing reviews that I've read on it, everything, you cannot possibly even imagine how fucking pissed off I am. I mean, because I even gave it an honest-to-God shot. Who the fuck wants to play a Halo game where you're Lester Chief? You're the retarded cousin. Who wants to be underpowered? Who wants to hide from everything? When you play a Halo, you want to be superpowered. You want to be Master Chief, okay? You don't want to be Master Queef, who can't get hit but 3 fucking times before he's dead, okay? Nobody wants to fucking do that shit. The regenerating health thing was better. They improved upon that. Okay, there's a reason why Halo 1 isn't as good as the other games now, because they've made the improvements. But let's go back and take away all the improvements and then make it worse. That makes no sense to me. Next thing I want to talk about is Mega Man 10. As you can probably guess, I'm pretty fucking excited about this. No, excited is an understatement. My dick is so hard, it could cut diamonds, okay? Don't even fucking get me started. Everybody's talking about, oh, Final Fantasy 13, oh, Final Fantasy 13. Okay, I'm fucking, on a scale from 1 to 10, how excited I am about fucking Final Fantasy 13, it's about a 10. Okay, for Mega Man 10, it's like a 50. It's a 69, bitches, okay? I'm fucking psyched for this shit. The only thing I want them to improve upon from 9, I want them to make it a little bit harder. I actually thought Mega Man 9 wasn't really that difficult. And I want them to make the Wily Castle be a little bit harder than it was. And maybe even possibly put in a second Wily Castle. And also make Wily at the end a little bit cooler. He only had, like, really one form. Like, I was expecting something, like, awesome like the alien from 2 or, like, the big robot from 3. But, I mean, it was adequate. But Mega Man 9 was awesome, so I'm really looking forward to 10. I also want to talk about the PS3 Slim. I have one, as you can probably have already guessed. I'll show it to you. There it is. It hasn't really gotten much play yet. I haven't really had any time with my new job to really do anything with it, but it's pretty awesome. It's really fucking quiet, and I like the buttons on it. I like how small it is. It's like a lot smaller than the fucking other one. The other one took up my entire fucking table and half my room, so, compared to that, this is an improvement. Okay, I drive a fucking Cadillac, and the thing's bigger than my Cadillac. So, anything is a fucking improvement over the last PS3. Also want to talk about Windows 7. I also have Windows 7. I got it for free. It was sent to me. So, a lot of people want to know my review on Windows 7, aka Good Vista, and that's pretty much what I would call it, Good Vista. Or what Vista should have been in the fucking first place. Everybody's all psyched. I see these Windows commercials saying, oh man, you gotta buy this, it's badass. Yeah, we heard that with Vista, okay? We should have already had this operating system fucking 5 years ago. So, I mean, I'm not excited about it. I'm just long over fucking due, okay? You're talking about, you have like a library book out for 15 years, and then when you finally return it, you expect the librarian to jump up and down and fucking suck your dick? No, she's gonna fucking be like, it's about goddamn time, okay? What the fuck? I mean, Jesus Christ. You had XP for like fucking 10 years and shit, and then you have Vista and it completely fucking sucks.
Hold on, guys.
And now we have a fucking operating system that's finally up to par. Okay, I wouldn't even say it's as good as XP, I would say it's up to par. I still dual boot XP.
Let me take a break. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna call back. Hello?
Sorry, está en vivo, ¿verdad?
¿Qué pasó? Todo bien, ma. Sí, ahí sí. Alright. Okay. Okay, sorry guys if I had pretty much difficulties here.
XP and Windows 7, just in case. You can never be too careful with Windows operating systems. I mean, I've had my fair share of problems with Windows 7 too. It's not completely perfect. I still can't get my PS3 controller to work on it. So I pretty much, I'm on XP right now actually. So, I mean, it's adequate. The last thing I want to talk about was Modern Warfare 2. I touched upon it a little bit earlier in this video, but I really want to touch upon it. It's awesome. I knew it was going to be awesome. Not a big surprise to me. It is awesome. It's not really the evolution in gaming everybody's trying to make it out to be, but it's really good. They took out a lot of things from World of War that I was kind of surprised about. I really wish they had, put in a zombie mode, and a lot of people are saying you can't put in a zombie mode, that's World War's thing, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't really have a mode that's like zombie mode. Okay, so that's cool, take out zombie mode, but at least put something in that's like zombie mode. They said they were hyping up special ops and how cool special ops were going to be. But the thing is, once you beat special ops, you're pretty much done with it. I mean, it's cool to, kind of knock off a couple seconds here and there, but it's not as competitive as multiplayer. It's not as addictive as zombie mode in World of War. So, I mean, it's cool that I can still go back and play World of War, for the zombies and stuff, but it was kind of stupid that they took it out. I was also disappointed that they took out the blood and gore from World of War. I mean, it's still kind of in there, and they touch upon some kind of, mean-spirited stuff, like the terrorist, being the terrorist in the airport thing that was in Modern Warfare 2. But I felt World of War was more visceral, and when you shoot somebody in World of War, it felt better than it did in Modern Warfare 2 to me. I don't know, like it just felt more visceral, it felt like a war situation. And it's still stupid to shoot somebody in the head and not have the head explode. I mean, didn't Gears of War pretty much clear that up? I mean, if I fucking shoot you with a sniper rifle point blank range in the face, you're not just gonna fucking fall down and be like, ugh. No, your fucking head's gonna explode in a million fucking pieces, okay? And you're ain't gonna know you're dead when you're dead. You're just gonna die. It's gonna be over. There's gonna be brains and skull and shit and puke everywhere. You're not just gonna fucking fall over. That's so stupid to me. That and the fact that I hate when the bodies disappear after a while. Like, I've always hated that. I think when you have a fucking massive war, the body should stay there on the ground along with the blood, along with the gore, because it's a battle zone, you know what I mean? You got these fucking clean-ass battle zones, like Martha Stewart's going around cleaning up these dead bodies or something. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. So, up the gore factor. This is war. You're going to touch upon all this grueling stuff. It's going to be, controversial and shit, but you still have fucking ragdoll, falling over, bullshit, with no fucking blood and gore. I mean, if you're going to go all out and have a mature rating, go all out and have a mature rating. Quit being pussies. But that's pretty much all I want to talk about. Video game reviews are on the way. Stay tuned. What's up, bitches? This is Silent Rob, and welcome to another episode of Game Talk with Silent Rob. And the first thing I want to go ahead and touch upon is this whole Infinity Ward Activision fiasco that's been going on lately. And to be honest, I really can't stand Activision, and I couldn't stand Activision even before this whole Infinity Ward thing was going on. And the reason why I can't stand them is this. Activision is a type of company that doesn't care about new intellectual properties. They don't care about innovation. They don't care about, new gameplay, new ideas, new anything.
The only fucking thing that Activision cares about is what most fucking companies care about, and that's fucking money, okay? If they can't take your fucking franchise and run it into the fucking ground every single year, Madden style, then they don't fucking want to even look at you, okay? And I cannot stand companies like that. And Activision, you know, they've been around since the beginning. They've been around since the Atari age. They're OGs, you know what I mean? They've been around, they've been there, okay? And for them to just turn into the fucking putrid shit that they've become is just sickening and just turns my stomach, okay? You know, like Guitar Hero, Call of Duty, all these franchises that they just run into the ground every single fucking year. And I have the same things to say about companies like EA, but at least EA is trying some new shit. At least EA is putting out some new IPs like Dead Space and stuff like that, you know, are at least fucking trying, man. Activision doesn't give a fuck, okay? The only thing they care about is for you to fucking spend another $200 on a piece of fucking bullshit plastic toy so they can fucking take your money and fucking, you know, release another fucking plastic toy in 6 months that you're going to have to buy for another fucking $200. You know what I mean? And you're going to fucking sit there and tell me that a plastic fucking guitar controller costs that much to fucking manufacture. Suck my motherfucking ballsack. Give me a fucking break with this fucking Fisher-Price fucking bullshit fucking toys that have become so popular lately. And don't get me wrong, I like Guitar Hero, and I'm good at Guitar Hero, okay? I fucking rock face at Guitar Hero. That doesn't make it a good game, and that doesn't make it an original game, and that doesn't fucking justify spending this much money on these fucking games. You know, I bought the original Guitar Hero, and I bought Guitar Hero 2. The rest of these fucking games can suck my goddamn dick, okay? Rock Band, my fucking ass. You're gonna fucking tell me, you know, my brother bought Rock Band, and that fucking game is fucking retarded, okay? It's just gotten out of control with these fucking music games. You know, drums, pretty soon we're gonna have what? Saxophone, we're gonna have fucking, what are we gonna have here? Xylophones? We're going to have some fucking, you know, we're going to have some kazoos. We're going to have Kazoo Hero up in this motherfucking house here. What the fuck, okay? I ain't playing this shit no more. I ain't buying this shit no more. And hopefully the general populace will fucking realize how stupid these fucking games are. And considering that the sales have gone down dramatically, maybe people have finally realized. But that's not the only fucking reason I hate Activision. This whole Infinity Ward Activision thing just boggles my mind. Talk about shooting the hand that feeds you. Talk about just sawing off the hand that feeds you. Infinity Ward has just made you billions of dollars. They just released the biggest game of all time. And you're going to fucking fire the two lead guys that created the game? And you're going to honestly think that there's going to be no backlash to that at all? Are you fucking retarded? Okay? I don't give a fuck. All right, and Activision's trying to make it look like, oh, they're the victims in this, and that Weston Zampella was going behind their backs and, you know, trying to hook up with some other company behind their back like EA and trying to fucking, you know, plot all this shit behind their back. And if that's the case, I don't even blame them in the slightest, okay? If I had to work for a company like Activision, I would probably be doing that same shit too, okay? And Activision, to fire the people is just totally ridiculous, okay? You're going to fire them, and you're going to honestly think that the rest of the workers that, you know, love these guys have been working with these guys for 2 years on this game, even longer on the other games. And you're going to honestly think that these guys aren't going to fucking plot against you and leave the company? And sure enough, pretty much every fucking lead artist and programmer and designer on fucking Call of Duty has left, and Infinity Ward is a fucking ghost town. You don't have to be an analyst to figure this shit out. You don't even have to know anything about video games to realize that firing the two heads of your biggest fucking game is a mistake. Okay? I mean, what the fuck were they thinking when they did this? I mean, pretty much what it comes down to, you're going to tell me that they think that they were plotting. They think that they were going behind their back, and they think that they were trying to do this, this, and this, and that they fucking fired them. Bullshit, okay? This comes down to money. I guarantee that West and Zampella had their bonuses coming, and it was a very large amount of money that Activision was going to have to cough up to pretty much everybody in this fucking studio, and so they fucking fired them and made up some bullshit excuse so they didn't have to give out their bonus checks. And if all that's not enough, now we have Bungie signing up with Activision. Well, what kind of stupid shit is that? And don't get me wrong, I like the fact that, Bungie's trying to branch out and reach other platforms and stuff like that, but why Activision? Okay? Why would you want to put up with Activision's bullshit? And supposedly Bungie has, full creative reign and, their company's still theirs and bullshit, okay? You're gonna fucking tell me that Activision is gonna poke their big fucking dick-shaped noses into Bungie's business and try to fucking rule over their fucking shit? Bullshit, okay? Activision wants that fucking money, okay? You are not gonna have full creative reign, and if you fucking think that, Bungie, you are fucking imbeciles. And, not that it even matters anyways, I don't really, Bungie has never really impressed me. And don't get me wrong, I used to play Halo, I used to game out on that shit all the time. When the Xbox first came out, I gamed out on Halo, man. I was a fucking king on Halo, nobody could beat me. When Halo 2 came out, I gamed out on Halo 2, I fucking loved that shit, I gamed out, it was one of the first online games I really got into. And then all my friends kept wanting to play Halo over and over again. I fucking gradually started to realize Halo sucks dick. Halo is not a good game at all. Okay, Call of Duty pretty much destroys Halo in every respect. And then Halo 3 came out and sucked ass. Halo 3 did not change the online multiplayer at all. It didn't change any of the online aspects of multiplayer. If Halo 3 never came out, nothing in the gaming world would have changed at all. Okay? Halo 3 didn't change the gaming aspect at all. It didn't fucking make any innovations. It didn't fucking do anything differently. It was an alright fun game, but what the fuck did it do that other games in the fucking same genre didn't do? Nothing. That's what. Not a damn thing. Give me a fucking break with this fucking Halo shit. And don't even get me started on the abysmal failure that was Halo 3 ODST, which was basically a waste of fucking time for everybody involved in making it and everybody that ever played it. Granted, that was only about 5 hours of time wasted, but it was a waste of fucking time, okay? This shouldn't even have been a standalone game. This should have been the beginning of Halo Reach. They should have combined both of these games together, okay? But no, why would they do that when dumbasses would spend $60 to buy a third of a game? It's not even a finished game. You're gonna fucking tell me a 4-hour fucking experience is a full game? Fuck you. And now we have Halo Reach coming out, and it looks exactly the fucking same, okay? Have you people seen the videos for this fucking game, okay? They're gonna fucking try to pass off Halo with jetpacks as an original idea? Get the fuck out of my face with this shit, okay? Jetpacks have been around for quite a while. You ever played a little game called Tribes? Have you ever fucking experienced that shit? You're gonna tell me that jetpacks are original? I've been saying since the first game that they should have jetpacks. Okay? Any first-person shooter should have jetpacks. Jesus Christ. That's why I wanted the next Call of Duty to be Future Warfare, so we could have jetpacks. You're gonna fucking pass that off as an original idea? Don't fucking kid yourselves and fucking act like this shit is original. I've been watching this footage for Halo Reach, and I gotta be honest, people. Holy shit. I mean, Bungie is the only fucking company that can release a game 5 times the exact same game, and people would buy it. 5 times now. It's the same game, 5 fucking times. And I like the idea that they're, putting some new multiplayer stuff in it, and it's going to be, a little bit more in-depth. But it doesn't even matter to me, okay? Because the Halo universe has never been tapped into in any outlet except in, books and comics and stuff like that by people that actually know how to flesh out a fucking world, how to give character development, how to actually make the world interesting. For some reason, Bungie has no fucking clue on how to make their own. Welcome to another episode of Game Talk with Silent Rob. And the first topic I want to touch upon real quick is the Apple iPad. and how fucking shitty and pointless it is. Let's be honest with ourselves here. The only people buying this fucking stupid piece of shit are people with way too much money on their hands. People like iJustine and stupid-ass celebrities that can't even flush their money down the toilet fast enough, okay? This is fucking retarded. As much as, Apple has brought to the forefront the fucking iPod, the iPhone, all these other fucking things, does this even remotely come close to any of those? Basically, all this fucking thing is an oversized iPhone with no phone capabilities. Okay? That's all it is. And do you imagine how fucking stupid you actually look in public with one of these things? I saw somebody in public using one of these the other day, and I almost went up to them and stabbed them in the fucking neck. Okay? You look like a fucking chode with this fucking thing, okay? It looks like a prop off of the Star Trek set, okay? Get the fuck out of here with this fucking stupid-ass bullshit. Apple isn't exactly innovators, okay? Apple makes quality electronics at pretty good prices. I wouldn't say they're good prices, but they're pretty good. The iPod, for example, isn't exactly an innovation. It's a fucking hard drive that you put songs on and listen to, okay? We had that in the 90s on computers. Basically, all fucking Apple did was make it portable. I remember when the shit first came out, I used to watch Call for Help and Tech TV and all this shit, and I remember when the iPods first came out, and I remember it was this big fiasco. Oh, they're so amazing, and I'm sitting there day one saying, it's a hard drive with fucking songs on it. Don't blow your fucking load, okay? It ain't that big of a deal. And sure enough, it caught on like fucking wildfire, and now everybody and their sister has a fucking iPod or some other off-brand fucking hard drive. That's all it is. It's a fucking hard drive that you put music on and listen to, and you can't put anything else on besides like pictures and stuff like that. So basically, you're looking at a hard drive that has less capabilities than a computer hard drive that's portable that you can carry with you and listen to songs on. That's it, okay? And now we're all the way up to something like this, the iPad, okay? You're talking about a device that has all the capabilities of an iPhone, but is 14 times bigger and still has all the problems that the iPhone has. What do I mean by that? Well, this fucking piece of technology that was made in 2010 does not have flash capabilities. You heard me right. There are no flash capabilities on this fucking thing, okay? Computers in the 90s had flash capabilities. Why doesn't this have flash capabilities? Well, let me go ahead and tell you why. Apple cannot control flash like they control every other aspect of all their fucking stores, applications, devices, everything. Basically, they don't want you getting on the iPad playing free flash games on the internet that they can fucking overcharge for on their fucking app store. That's pretty much what it comes down to in a nutshell. And Apple actually had the gall to criticize Flash for being a closed system. Okay, you're going to say Flash is a closed application when you can't even do nothing on a fucking Apple computer. Everything is closed off on a fucking Apple computer. Okay, what kind of fucking hypocritical bullshit is that? Okay, fuck the iPad. Okay, if you have one of these fucking things, you got to have your head examined. Speaking of rip-offs, I don't play the Xbox 360 too often because I'm too busy playing games like Uncharted 2, Killzone 2, God of War 3, Heavy Rain, actual good, innovative, fun games. I don't have time to be putting up with Red Rings of Death and having to fucking put up with overheating consoles and other fucking bullshit. I got way too much shit in my life. I just want to turn on my game and go, okay? PS3 does that for me. That's why I play PS3, okay? But when I do go and play my brother's 360, I notice there's a little new app on there called the Microsoft Game Room. I mean, what the fuck is this bullshit, man? Microsoft just amazes me with their money-grubbing techniques every single time they fucking try to do something new, man. This is just the biggest crock I've ever seen. It's a good idea to have a virtual arcade. I like the idea of that. But who the fuck is going to actually pay for these old-ass, dusty, crusty-ass games, okay? Nobody wants to fucking pay for Battlezone Tempest, and Millipede when you can turn on the internet and play those games for free in 15 seconds, okay? You can load up any game site on the fucking internet, play these games on Flash for free for as long as you want. Why would you pay individually for these games? Okay, this is just another way to get into your fucking pockets. They let you go into the game room, let you walk around, they let you play the game for as long as you want, one time. As soon as you leave that fucking arcade cabinet, you have to fucking pay for the games. Okay, if you're playing your Xbox 360, you're going to be playing a game that's made for the Xbox 360. You're not going to be playing Millipede unless you're 60 years old, okay? Nobody cares about these games anymore. Yes, they were fun in their time. Yes, to some people, they're still fun, okay? But only for like 5-minute increments. I swear to God, I was walking around that arcade and I was playing the games, all the free chances that you got to play the games, and was pretty much sick of the games after one play. So basically, the only reason for this game room is to trick you into liking these games for 2 seconds, buying them, and then never playing them again. Because that's what's going to happen, okay? Do you really think you're going to be playing Battlezone over and over again? Go to Newgrounds.com. Play these games for free. Most of these sites on the internet have better versions of these games anyways, okay? There's no point in this fucking money-grubbing bullshit. What's up, bitches? Welcome to another Game Talk with Silent Rob. And today I'm going to be...
Okay. We're not gonna watch any more of that, because honestly, I'm not gonna watch the entire video. And plus, I don't think anybody would want to watch the entire video. So we're gonna skip to the next one anyway. And the next one is gonna be rid of the language that was seen there. So. But he does speak some truth, though. He does speak some truth. But, it's too heavy for me. It's too heavy for any of us. Here we go. Let's, copy.
While everybody else is out here making their videos on Nintendo's upcoming system, the Nintendo Switch. God. While everybody else is out here making their videos on Nintendo's upcoming system, the Nintendo Switch. God, don't you just... that sound, it's amazing. You probably want to hear my thoughts on the system. But unfortunately for you, I am the king, the master of disappointment. And this channel is dedicated to giving you content that you never asked for in the first place. So that video is gonna have to wait. But today, I want to talk about the 7th generation of consoles and why I thought the overall generation was just disappointing. Been seeing a lot of people claim that the 8th generation is a lot worse, and I'm gonna have to disagree 100%. There was just a lot of problems that happened in the 7th generation that made it hard for me to care about for the most part. It's also the only console generation I don't feel the need to go back to outside of a few titles because I don't like most of the games. And just a heads up, I'm not gonna be mentioning the Wii in this video. I have a whole nother video planned for that later down the line. Maybe. Not entirely sure. Remember that top 10 Square Enix RPGs video I promised a while ago? No? Good. Let's keep it that way. So with all that being said, let's get into this.
Buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Which means more time for?
This place.
Yeah, 30% shorter.
The The 7th generation of consoles has got to be the most stagnant generation of the 3D consoles of all time. Dating back to the 5th generation, we saw developers take on extremely experimental games that resulted in having some of the most diverse gaming libraries ever made, as well as making new genres and creating standards for other genres. Games like Parappa the Rapper, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Devil May Cry, Guitar Hero, Halo, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time. Under the Skin. Do you have any idea who made Under the Skin? Capcom. Capcom made Under the Skin. Nowadays, if it doesn't have the word resident, monster, or street in the title, they're most likely not even gonna bother with it. And thousands upon thousands of other unique titles were being made. This resulted in lots of developers bringing new and unique experiences to the table, but also new and unique experiences for the gamer. And because of those new ideas, that brought variety. And with variety, do you know what happens? You never feel like you're being left out because developers pretty much cater to everybody. You wanted 3D platformers outside of mediocre Sonic games? You had 3D platformers outside of mediocre Sonic games. You liked rhythm games? You had a lot of those to play. Maybe you want lots of high quality complete fighters that weren't trying to nickel and dime you for content and characters that were already on your disc. You had just that. Or maybe you want high quality JRPGs. My friends, you had stacks upon stacks of those to play. It's unfair. But last generation, I just kept thinking to myself, when is it going to be my turn? When are games gonna start coming out that I wanna play? And while I did get a handful of games that I did enjoy last generation, those handful of games could not last me the 7 to 8 years of that console generation. But what did we mainly see last generation? Shooters, 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 Assassin's Creed, cinematic experiences, yearly sports and racing games, shooters, shooters, mediocre Japanese games, more shooters. And because everybody was so focused on doing the same thing over and over last generation, this left creative minds too afraid to bring out new experiences in fear of it selling poorly, losing money, and potentially shutting down, which we saw happen a lot last generation. And when games cost more to make, that means you have to sell a higher amount of copies to avoid losing money on your game. And because shooters was the new hot genre that everybody was trying to cash in on last generation, and it was a proven formula to work, it became too risky to try anything new. That resulted in lots of genres, variety, and new ideas missing for the most part last generation. And because those weren't there, I was bored out of my mind. Even if there wasn't any new ideas last generation, just having new entries in existing franchises from the past would have made things a lot better for me. But I really didn't have much to fall back on last generation outside of Rayman Origins, Yakuza, Persona 4 Arena, and Nier. Franchises that I loved back in the day, from Final Fantasy, Ape Escape, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Resident Evil, Marvel vs. Capcom, and so on, weren't good. Franchises like Shin Megami Tensei, a series that we used to get pretty much yearly on the PlayStation 2, went to handheld, and other series were just flat out nowhere to be found. And it's also the reason why, despite me having all three of the consoles last generation, that I spent most of my time playing on generations prior and got into handheld gaming. Because games were catering to me more on older platforms and handhelds than they were on these next gen consoles. If you're a fan of those genres, you probably think last generation was a blast and think everything that I'm saying right now is completely blasphemous. But put yourself in my shoes. Some of my favorite genres include rhythm games and RPGs. Imagine if those two genres were the new hot genres last gen, where most of the games coming out were colorful Japanese rhythm games and RPGs. And while shooters and other genres were still around, they were all mediocre outside of like 10 of them. You would probably think that was the worst generation of all time. But overall, I did not like most of the games coming out last generation. I didn't find them to be all that fun or memorable outside of a few titles. And again, since games were a lot more risky to release last generation, there wasn't much room for creativity. And other games that existed in earlier generations didn't really stand much of a chance in the 7th. Luckily, indie studios don't seem to be too afraid of trying to bring new concepts or bring old ones back into gaming. So there's at least hope that we can bring back variety and get out of this same old that we've been getting for the last 7 to 8 years. One of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problem, that I had with the last generation of consoles was just how poorly most games ran. Transitioning from the 5th generation to the 6th, we saw developers use hardware more efficiently to improve the overall experience of any given title by making it run in 60 frames per second. Most games from the NES and the SNES era ran at 60 frames, and it was only until we got to the Nintendo 64, the Sega Saturn, and the PlayStation 1, with the advent of 3D technology, that we really started seeing bad frame rates. Now, some games out there ran beautifully like F-Zero X or Omega Boost, boost, but for a large part of that generation, it was pretty rocky. Performance eventually improved when the PlayStation 2, Xbox, Dreamcast, and the GameCube came around. Now sure, there may have been the occasional performance drop when things got crazy on the screen, and not every game was 60 frames per second, but for the most part, we saw more effort being put into making sure that the game runs well. Sadly, once we moved to the 7th generation, that standard of reaching 60 frames per second has been lowered to 30, and most of the times, a game couldn't even hold the constant 30 frames per second, where it would go anywhere from the mid to low 20s, which resulted in most of these games playing like complete garbage. And I know there's gonna be that one guy in the comment section that says frame rate doesn't matter and stop being a frame rate whore, but realize that 1, you're just wrong, and 2, even if 30 frames per second was the minimum, most games last generation couldn't even hold that. This is something that we should not have had to worry about last generation. It's something that should have been a standard at that point, but still, even to this day, it's not a standard. It really made you wonder if having these stronger consoles were even worth it, if performance dropped more than 50% of what we were getting prior. And it's not like most games that were coming out last generation really did anything to push the envelope in gaming forward, which would make it understandable if the game ran poorly. But even sequels to existing franchises that existed on the PS2 and the Xbox were running better than their sequels on the PS3 and 360. Now I realize not every game has to be 60 frames per second. Other games are okay if they're 30 frames per second, such as story-driven interactive games, turn-based RPGs, strategy games, and slower-paced titles. It's mainly when we're talking about action games, shooters, racers, or fighters when it becomes an absolute necessity. A game's main attraction should be, you know, the gameplay part. I'm probably speaking a different language to some of you right now. It's what makes people want to go back and experience such great titles that they may have missed out on. And when those graphics start to wear down over time as new technology comes out, you're stuck with a game that doesn't even look all that great and performs poorly on top of it. Just think back to some of your favorite video games of all time. Did you like them because of their gameplay or because they were pretty and shiny? Graphics are nice and all, and I'm not trying to downplay graphics or anything, but it all goes back to what I was saying about aesthetics in one of my earlier videos, on how you can still have a good looking game based off your art style alone, instead of trying to have the graphical fidelity do most of the work, when graphical fidelity exists to help the aesthetics, not the other way around. You can still have a solid performance with good aesthetics and graphics. It's not really a matter of pick one over the other. It's just that developers tend to look at it that way and choose visuals over performance, instead of toning down the graphical fidelity a bit to help make the game an overall smoother experience. And the sad thing is, nothing's gonna change. Everything I'm saying right now is just a waste of breath. We already see the same bad habits from the 7th generation carrying over to the 8th. I mean, you finally get your game running the way it should have ran from the start. People then praise your game on how much better it feels because it's 60 frames per second. And then what do? You backtrack and make your latest entry 30 frames per second to get that added graphical boost. Even with these remastered consoles coming out, the main buzzwords behind them are 4K and HDR because, you know, we've already mastered 1080p 60 frames per second on consoles. I mean, that's old stuff. We gotta go 4K 30. What's going on here? Bottom line is, if your game isn't fun to play or running properly, what good are your fancy visuals if your game is a complete chore to play through?
Listen, you want to skip this ad. I would too. But what if I told you there's a skip ads for everybody?
It's called Pi, and if that sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you've seen their ads everywhere. It's an ad blocker that works on Twitch, YouTube, Amazon, and everywhere else you go on Chrome. And if that seems too good to be true, it's not.
As far as I'm concerned, last generation was the era that started the norm of releasing unfinished games. As technology progressed, this meant that developers were able to get away with more shady business practices, because with more power and technology, that means developers can and will take advantage of that. We saw them use that power and technology to make worlds much more grand, bring in more graphical fidelity and detail, but we also saw them use this in a way to get extra money from the consumer, as well as using it as a way to ship incomplete games. Gone were the days of buying a game knowing that you were getting a complete and full experience, where the only thing you had to worry about was whether or not a game was good. But now, not only did you have to worry about that, you also have to be worrying about if your game was going to be running properly. Now, the idea and implementation of DLC and patches is nothing new. Both things started on the original Xbox, and for the most part were pretty great things. Two great ideas in theory that ultimately got corrupted once we entered the 7th generation. Patches started this whole trend of shipping games to be sold to the consumer when they were clearly not finished, where they could fix bugs or glitches in the game by uploading a file and making it available for download whenever it was ready. Prior to that, your game had to be finished. There was no second chance. you had to make sure that that was a product that you were confident enough in shipping. And the main problem with patches is that they aren't going to be around forever. So if you're somebody like me who likes to go back and play older games that you missed out on, once those servers go down and that patch is no longer there, you're stuck with a buggy version of that game forever. That's kind of a long time. And if your hard drive dies for some reason, and faulty consoles weren't exactly uncommon last generation, then sorry, you're stuck with the unfinished broken game. To make sure that you don't get stuck with those versions, one of two ridiculous options would have to happen. Option one, somebody would have to somehow upload every single patch to the internet available for download. Or two, you would have to buy multiple hard drives, download all the patches of your games, which fill up kind of quickly, by the way, and then whenever you wanted to play a certain game, take out your hard drive and swap it. All this extra effort to play a game because developers were releasing unfinished games. And again, I'm not saying the idea of patches are stupid. I think it's a pretty great idea, actually. And for me to say that there were no games in generations prior that could have benefited from a patch is just false. But it's something that developers relied on way too heavily, instead of trying to release a finished game that they were confident in and using patches as a backup if they were really unaware of the problems of the game. And don't even get me started on how long it takes to update games on the PlayStation 3 because of this. Next up, DLC and microtransactions. Again, great in theory, but ultimately, it got corrupted. Why do I have to pay for characters that are already on my disc? Why do I have to pay for costumes when prior you unlocked costumes just for playing the game? Why are you announcing DLC months in advance before the game even comes out and making us pre-order to get that DLC when the DLC will be available day one? Which means you actually went into the game and took content out of your game on purpose to make me pay extra or pre-order for content that I should have already had. And why do I have to pay money to get the true ending to a game that I just bought? This was the norm last generation. DLC and microtransactions for no reason other than to nickel and dime the consumer. Say bye-bye to the term unlockable. And because of this, a lot of games would cost you way more than the asking price at retail or on the store. And just like patches, DLC is also not available forever. So if you didn't buy your DLC in time, that's just too bad. I'm sorry. And now you're stuck with an incomplete game. I actually didn't know this, but you can no longer buy Jill Valentine and Shuma Gorath in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I mean, it's Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so we didn't really lose much, but still. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule. Usually when developers treat their DLC as expansion packs, where it feels like you're getting a completely new game and a new experience on top of that, instead of just buying DLC for skins, different guns, characters that you should have just unlocked for playing the game, and narrator voices, and different colored glasses. I really need to finish this video. Out of everything that I listed in this video, the one thing that bugged me the most was the gamers. Now, this really isn't exclusive to the 7th generation, but it was still a big part of it. And I'm already making this video, so, I mean, why not just do it? Everything that was brought up in this video could have been resorted and taken care of if gamers opened their mouths and stood against it. But instead of doing that, they stood against the other gamers who wanted better, as if they were somehow in the wrong, which makes absolutely no sense to me. Why are the people who always want more and better always ridiculed and slammed for it? Just the other day, I made a statement saying that the only way I upgrade my PlayStation 4 to a PlayStation 4 Pro is if it was backwards compatible with older PlayStation consoles. And I had somebody tell me that backwards compatibility is stupid, and the only people that want backwards compatibility is poor people. Let that marinate within you for a couple seconds. I cannot make this up, people, because something so stupid would never even cross my mind. It's like, why am I in the wrong for saying that pre-ordering a game to have access to content that's being advertised months in advance is wrong? Why am I the bad guy for saying that paying to play the online portion of your game with the Xbox 360, Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4 is anti-consumer, and that we shouldn't have to be paying for that in the first place? Because, you know, the Dreamcast, GameCube, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PSP, 3DS, Vita, Wii U, and PC can all get online with no problem. And instead of just answering my question, gamers jump to, oh my god, you're just poor. What, you can't afford $50 a year? Maybe it's time to find a new hobby, you know? maybe it's time to get a job if you can't afford $50 a year. And the second Sony announces PlayStation Plus is going up $10, all of a sudden, Sony's insane. $60 to play online is completely outrageous, and they're out of control and they need to be stopped. But even with all that complaining, as soon as your subscription runs out, you'll all be spending your $60 to go play online. And I can't even get mad at Sony and Microsoft. In the 7th generation, Microsoft made bank off its install base for forcing them to pay online, and they were happy and willing to pay for online because the PlayStation 3's online wasn't all that great, while the PlayStation guys laughed and mocked them for that entire generation. And what happened the second that Sony announced that you'd be paying for online with the PlayStation 4? Here come the excuses. Well, you know, servers cost money, and we gotta pay to keep those servers running, and you know, we get free games every month, so everything's just peachy keen over here on the PlayStation. First of all, you don't get free games every month, so stop saying that. PlayStation Plus was introduced on the PlayStation 3, where it gave you discounts and random games every month. That's it. No more, no less. This then extended to the PlayStation Vita when that came out, discounts and random games. But on the PlayStation 4, they threw online behind it, so now the only way to play online is if you have PlayStation Plus. So saying that you get free games is just wrong. And second of all, pay to keep servers online? Really? Out of all the consoles and handhelds that are able to get online with no questions asked, the second Microsoft enters the console race in the PlayStation 4, it just becomes instantly impossible. Do you hear how stupid that sounds? Especially on the PlayStation side of things, where the Vita and PlayStation 3 both have life, and both can still play old and upcoming games online for free right now. And do you know what happened the second Microsoft introduced Xbox Live to PC and tried to make them pay to get online? They told Microsoft to go burn in hell. And guess what happened as a result of that? All of the Xbox 360 and Xbox One games that were released on PC, you don't have to pay to play online, while the console side of Xbox still does. See what happens when you come out and tell companies you're not going to deal with their crap, and now you have Xbox guys complaining, saying it's not fair that they get to play all their games for cheaper and for free online, while they still have to pay for online. All this crying and complaining after years of defending the service. Well, I mean, you could always stop being poor and just pay your $60. I mean, it's only $60. What, you can't afford $60? Maybe it's time to find a new hobby, or get a job if you really can't afford $60. I don't know what to tell you. People, you are what determines whether these companies succeed or they fail. And without you, they're pretty much nothing. Example, E3 2013 Microsoft. Now, no used games, DRM, console has to connect to the internet every 24 hours.
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360, that's your message if you don't,
Well,
if you don't like it?
if you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device.
Forced Connect, and we can spy on you through the Connect whenever we want. Deal with it. Xbox One. You are basically buying a console that had a death sentence right out the gate, where once they moved on from the Xbox One, all of your games, every game that you invested your time and money into, became instantly useless. Your games wouldn't be worth a dime because none of them would work, so you were stuck with useless games in a box. That's about it. And what happened after word got out about that? Gamers came out in masses and told them to go screw off. And because of that, none of it happened. I mean, well, the Kinect thing sort of did at the beginning, but you get the point. And now that Microsoft is listening to their fans, they made the quote-unquote impossible possible by introducing backwards compatibility into the Xbox One, something that was heavily requested by you guys. Do you see what happens when you ask? Do you see what happens when you tell them what you do and what you don't like? You get results. So what exactly is the message here? Well, stop being idiots and stop settling for less. Stop defending paying for online when it's something that we shouldn't have to do in the first place. Stop calling others poor and entitled for calling out crappy DLC practices. Stop defending companies releasing glitch-fest games and games that are missing basic features and modes at launch. Stop defending companies like Square Enix and saying it's okay to release Final Fantasy VII in multiple parts, and then comparing it, saying it's no different than having the original Final Fantasy VII on 3 discs. Just overall, stop being stupid. Please, is that so much to ask? Stop accepting crap and defending crap from these developers, publishers, and companies, because you defending these idiotic practices will make them become standard practice in gaming, and ultimately makes things worse for the rest of us. The seventh generation of consoles just wasn't for me. There's a reason why I generally avoid talking about this generation on my channel, unless you're near, in which case you get a pass because you held things down last generation. Good job. Mainly because I'm not a fan of most games that came out for either the PS3 or the Xbox 360. Not to say that they were bad games, but just not what I'm personally into. And the games that I was interested in, I can't get anymore. Hooray for digital-only games. That was a joke, people. Don't cheer for that, that's terrible. Pile that on top of faulty hardware to the point where I had to replace my Xbox 360 and PS3 multiple times, feeling like I was never getting a complete product because DLC became the norm to get extra money from the consumer, paying for online, games costing more to make, and the price of games going up, but the product that we were getting didn't really seem all that worth it, and in most cases, seemed like we were getting a lot worse games than what we were getting prior. Games playing like complete garbage from a technical level, and just a whole bunch of other annoyances is why I'm not a fan of this generation. But I created a poll on Twitter, and most of you guys thought Last Generation was amazing and thought I was insane for not liking Last Generation, which left me shocked because we're generally on the same page when it comes to these type of things. Traitors. But seriously, I am interested to hear why you thought Last Generation was great. It's always fun to hear different viewpoints on these type of things, you know? That is, unless your viewpoint is just telling me that older games were never good to begin with and that it's all nostalgia, in which case, I don't value your opinion. If anything, I think you're asinine and annoying. But that does it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Honestly, 100%, it's 100% true. I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna sit here and tell a lie saying that it was not true what this guy said in the video, because it is. And you guys know it as much as I do that, you know, that the seventh generation had its flaws, and yes, the seventh generation has some good games, and had some worthwhile titles to look forward to. But at the end of the day, can you blame the people that do not like the seventh generation? No, because all the points that were made, the DLC, microtransactions, the repeated games from the FPSs to the DRM, that is 100% true. And I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna make excuses that it's not true. It is, because these companies needed to make sure that things would go well in this day and age. And considering that we've been at this for at the very least over 10, 11 years at this point, or actually more than 14, 15 years at this point, since it's been since 2007 or 8 that we've gotten the actual consoles and the games, from the seventh generation. You can't honestly tell me that Microsoft and Sony didn't have their flaws, and some people, the fanboys like to picture these particular companies as the perfect little consoles, because the precious games, and of course that they think that their cons is superior to theirs. Um, that's gotta show for something. But yeah, like literally, dude, I'm not gonna just stand here and not call out these three companies as BS. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo have been doing this 4 years now. 4 years. 14, 15 years at this point. And nothing has freaking changed. Nothing has changed at all. Nothing has freaking changed at all when it comes to these companies. They haven't changed at all in that particular lifetime when you know when the whole seventh and eighth generation was still going on, because you know that's when things started to look bleak. You know, that's something that that people won't forget about. I still can't forget about it until this day. So that's something that I believe that the gaming industry needs to figure out in the next few years, in the next maybe 2-3 years, if we're thinking about it. If Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony can continue to go ahead and release new consoles or release a new game like every year, for their newest systems. They need to make sure that these things hit home. And if they're gonna release a new console every single maybe like a 4 or 5 years down the line, they need to make it where they don't piss off consumers. Like seriously, Xbox did it with the Xbox One with their crappy DRM. PS3, you know, X Microsoft did it with their Xbox One with their DRM, and Sony did it the seventh generation with their Yellow Light of Death, and I think like an online thing with a PS3. Like they need to stop doing that. And of course, the terrible launch for the PlayStation 3, they recovered from that. Sony recovered from that, and Sony's still going strong. And then Microsoft did it way worse when it came to the 8th generation. You see, these are the problems that make up every company. You have one company that makes it so bad to the point where consumers want to quit, and then there's another company that does it really well, and and tries to do good, and then try to flack on the other company, which I'll be honest with you, that's how it's always been. And it's such a slippery slope, and it's mainly with Sony and Microsoft. I'm gonna say that right now. It's basically with Sony and Microsoft almost every couple years. They try to compete against one another, and they try to release good games every so like 4 or 5 years, and that's what happened with the Xbox One and the PS3. So with that's kind of what I wanted to point out here. At some point. So yeah. All right. Next thing here. So we're gonna watch this one, the third one.
Now with Hulu on Disney Plus, your favorites are in one place.
How's it going, everyone? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer coming at you with another video. And today is Tuesday, October the 26th. Hope you're all having a good day, having a good night, getting through the week here. Now, I just wanted to sort of talk about something quickly. More so open it up as a conversation that maybe we can have in the comments below. But the more and more I think about things, I do, as most of you know, love the original Xbox, albeit I haven't really been playing it a whole lot lately. The Xbox One that I have, the One X, I love it. I don't have a PS5, I don't have a PS4. Now, I want to specifically talk about the sweet spot of gaming. So, I just find lately, I've been finding a lot more games out in the wild that I had not even heard about before for the 7th gen. So we're talking the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 as well. Now, I guess you could probably lump in the Nintendo Wii when you talk about the 7th gen as well, and I do like the Nintendo Wii. I've got a decent little collection going, if you will, for the Wii. But when I think of the 7th gen, I really think about the PS3, and personally, for me, the Xbox 360. But you could sort of lump those two consoles in together because a lot of the multi-plats are shared across both consoles. But as well, you've got some incredible exclusives that were only on the PS3 and some exclusives that were only on the Xbox 360. I just find, the the catalog of games, the games that are available out there for the 360 and the PlayStation 3. Again, I've gone on record a couple of months ago, maybe it was even a year ago, I said I was done collecting for the Xbox 360. But it seems like every time I go out to a thrift store, or I'm looking at my Twitter feed, or I'm talking to someone in the comment section, I'm finding out about all these games that I didn't even bother to really look into with regards to the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Like the 360, I'm looking at my collection here as an example, and you've got the enhanced version of Gun, Red Dead Redemption, Bully, LA Noire, Grand Theft Auto 5, Max Payne 3, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. Man, there's so many good games. You got the Dark Souls series, Halo, Gears of War, Quake 4, Mafia 2, Test Drive Unlimited 2, PGR 4. Oh my god. Max Payne 3. It's pretty intense. It's pretty crazy. So many good games. And then you're looking at the PlayStation 3. You've got MotorStorm. You got Beyond Two Souls, Last of Us, the Uncharted series, God of War. There's so many good games to choose from on the PlayStation 3. And I don't have a large PlayStation 3 collection. I'm still collecting for it. But like I said, there's just so many good games for the 7th gen, and they're cheap right now, fairly cheap for the most part. But that's sort of kind of trickling away. A lot of the primo titles for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 are going up in price. I don't know, and I've said this before, I don't know, if I got rid of my entire Xbox 360 collection right now, I don't know if I could really go through the process of trying to get all these games again. You could say the same for the 6th generation of games as well. More so the original Xbox than the PlayStation 2. I find the PS2, for the most part, still pretty easy to collect for. But the original Xbox, I'm starting to find it's more difficult. When you go into the thrift stores now, I'm not seeing as many original Xbox games. I think a lot of collectors are starting to latch on to the original Xbox. But like I said, we're talking about the sweet spot of gaming. And the more I think about it, the more it might have been the 7th gen. I just can't get over the quality of titles during that period of time from around 2005 up until around 2012, 2013. The quality of games, let's just face the facts, there were way more better games for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 than there was for the PS4 and the Xbox One. If you want to disagree, go ahead. And we don't even have to talk about the current gen consoles because there are no good games, hardly any at all. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just like I said, really like the original Xbox. Love the PlayStation 2. Really love the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 as well. The catalog of games, I don't think it was really at that level during the PS4 and the Xbox One era, and it's certainly not at that level now in the generation that we're in. So, what do you guys think about the sweet spot of gaming? Do you think it was the 7th gen? Do you think that was the peak? I think that was the peak, to be honest with you. I can't go too far back when I think about the SNES. And yes, I do like the Genesis. But those games, while they're great in their own sort of way, I find the 7th gen is where we really started to see the evolution of gaming. And, gone were the days of the simplistic side-scroller games or the rudimentary 3D platformers. I found, when we got into the 7th gen, that's where we started to get these really immersive experiences with these big open worlds and these expansive storylines. So, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the 7th gen was the sweet spot of gaming. I could be wrong. Leave it in the comments below if you disagree, if you agree. I think it's a good conversation to have. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, and have a good rest of your night. Take care.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna get to a point which I'm gonna summarize some of these videos here. So I'm gonna drink a little bit of my vitamin water here because I'm getting parched. Okay, vitamin water. So I'm gonna put on my face cam for this because I want you guys to see my face. So, okay. So, okay, let me just put it down here. There we go. So, hello guys. Nice. So, I'm not wearing anything today. But anyway, so when looking at this video for the 7th generation, now he specifies the games and specifically the experiences he had with them. Now, for me personally, if I were to do a personal video on which generation would it be that I think is the greatest, which I think is probably a little better. If I had to personally pick, it would be obviously the 8th generation. I just grew up during that generation, the 11, 12 years old, 11, 12-year-old me, the kid me, before I started the channel, I remember vividly with the Wii U and the PS4. Actually, no, I didn't have much memories of the PS4, but I do remember playing a lot of GTA 5. But besides the point, and Spider-Man. But besides the point, the 8th generation is what I remember. And, with the Wii U and just in the PS4, they had some really great games. And of course the Xbox One, even though I never even bought an Xbox One at all during the 8th generation at all. But that's what I remember vividly with the 8th generation, was with the Wii U. because, well, I got it as a Christmas gift back in 2014, which is like 10 years ago at this point. Like right around Christmas time, actually, around this time point. But anyway, but yeah, personally, if I was gonna make a personal video of the generation that I remember the most, it would be the 8th generation. Now, it's not to say the 7th generation isn't terrible, right? It's not to say that the 7th generation is all bad, right? It's not. It really is not. But you know, there are some things that really hit it home, and you know, the bad points really do kind of outweigh the good points. But I will say one thing though. The exclusives were pretty much were amazing at that point. PS3 exclusives, not really much for Xbox 360 exclusives, because most of the Xbox 360 games were from the were generated to PC. But besides that point, there were some really awesome third-party titles for the seventh generation. Aside from the typical, first-person shooters, that is the oddball. But point being, the 7th generation for games, for big blockbuster titles, was awesome. It was really awesome. We got some really great series. Gears of War, for one example. Mafia, for one example. When Mafia is probably one great one. L.A. Noire, another great one. Assassin's Creed, if anybody remembers Assassin's Creed. Halo. Halo was a big one during the 7th generation. Halo was a really, really big one during the 7th generation. Just a lot of popular titles came during that point in time. The big popular, third-party titles, the big blockbuster ones. But that point aside, I still think that, either it has to go to the 6th or 5th generation of consoles, because I think that was, the 6th was kind of just, not that great, to be honest, but the 5th, I think, was really great because of the N64 and such. But considering at that point, that's what I think would be if I didn't have a personal opinion on which generation I like the most. But yeah, the 5th generation, or either the generation with the SNES, is the one that I remember, is the one that I like the most. But besides the point, that's what I think. Not much for PS4 or Xbox One, because I never had those systems. Besides the PS4, because I never played it a lot. But yeah. Yeah. But that's basically what I think about all of this. So, that's the other video for you. Okay. Another best console generation. I think we're gonna go with this next. It's not really that great of a speaker, but I'm gonna do it anyway here.
Hi, I'm Victoria Missick, and I teach one of the most diverse acting classes in the world, working with Adobe Act.
So I've been looking for big news stories today in the gaming world. Seems to be a pretty slow news day because I couldn't find anything. Yesterday I found a lot of stories. I found a story about Take-Two and the story about Microsoft and what was the other big story? EA buying Respawn for $400 million. But today I kept looking and looking and looking. I couldn't really find anything that was at least relevant enough to make a whole video dedicated to it. So because of that, I won't be covering any big news stories today because there don't seem to be any. But moving on, I thought that it would be pretty interesting to discuss the best console generation ever. Now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some controversy about this video because a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me. But usually when people talk about what the best generation was, it's always the one that they grew up with as a kid. Always. It's never any other generation. It's always the one that they grew up with. So if somebody grew up during Super Nintendo days, they're definitely going to say that's the best generation. It happens. I mean, I'm not blaming people for doing that. It's just, I'm just making a point that usually people cloud their better judgment in favor of nostalgia. I mean, it happens a lot. Nostalgia is a very powerful thing. Sometimes it's good. A lot of times it's not good. But at least when it comes to my opinion, I don't really think that people can accuse me of just letting nostalgia completely affect my opinion. And I'm saying that because I've lived through 4 console generations so far. The 5th generation, 6th, 7th, and 8th, of course. First console I was ever exposed to as a kid was the Nintendo 64. The first console I ever owned was the PS2. And when I had the PS2, I ended up getting a lot of PS1 games because I never owned a PS1, but the PS2 was backwards compatible, so I was able to play PS1 games. That's how I was exposed to Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and all those other amazing games that defined the 5th generation. So while I might have been too young to be able to have experienced the 5th generation of consoles at its height, I think it's still a fair thing to say that I did still grow up with the 5th generation because by the time I was a toddler, 5th generation consoles were discontinued. But like I said, through backwards compatibility, I experienced the 5th generation alongside the 6th generation. And I love the 5th generation. I love the N64 games because my sister had an N64 and I played it with her all the time when I was a very young child, like 3-4 years old. And of course, I also played the shit out of PS1 games through backwards compatibility. And we will talk about backwards compatibility later, because that's something else we're talking about. But since my childhood consisted of the 5th generation and the 6th generation, and it wasn't really until I was a preteen that I really got exposed to the 7th generation, I wouldn't say that nostalgia is really affecting my opinion on this one. I think it has more to do with how truly amazing gaming was back then in the 7th generation. Not to say that gaming in the 6th and 5th generation was bad. Obviously, I'm not saying that because 5th, 6th generation gaming was amazing. And as a matter of fact, I believe that the 5th and 6th generation was better than the current generation of consoles, which I feel has been very disappointing, and I know a lot of people agree with me. But before I get into specific reasons as to why I believe that the 7th generation was the greatest console generation ever, let's get into some background information about me and my experiences with the 7th generation so you guys have a better idea of where I'm coming from. So as we all know, the 7th generation consisted of the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the Wii. Those were the 3 main consoles. There were also some other little consoles, but they weren't, I guess, mainstream enough for them to be included in anything. I'm talking about the Hyperscan and the Nintendo V, which is the Chinese knockoff of the Wii. There were some other consoles, but they're not even worth mentioning at all. So we're not even going to talk about those. But the first 7th generation console that I was exposed to, that I owned, was the Nintendo Wii. Now, I know a lot of Nintendo fans are going to be upset with me saying this, but I felt that the Wii was more of a children's toy than an actual gaming machine. And I honestly think that the Wii should be viewed separately from the PS3/360. So when I'm really talking about 7th generation, I'm mainly talking about the 360 and the PS3. But the Wii was also, I'm not saying the Wii was a bad console. It's just that it was more of a children's toy than an actual gaming machine. Just look at all the games that they had. Most of their games were just shovelware products that were used to capitalize on the motion gimmick. And this isn't to say that the Wii wasn't one of my best birthday presents I've ever gotten, because the Wii was amazing. I loved playing with the Mii. I loved playing Wii Sports. I loved doing all the shit that I was able to do on the Wii, Super Mario Galaxy. I loved the Wii. But within a year, the Wii kind of got a little boring to me. I was kind of tired of playing the Wii. I went back to the PS2. The PS2 became my main console again. But the funny thing is that shortly after I got the Wii, I actually got an Xbox 360. It was the Xbox 360 Arcade, which was the cheapest version of the 360. I know I told this story very recently, but I'll tell it again just because it's very relevant for this video. The only reason why I had the 360, though, in the first place was because my mom won a lottery. She went to one of those lottery events. You know, those fundraisers where you do a raffle. My mom went to one of those, and she actually won an Xbox 360 Arcade. And I played it, but the reason why I didn't get into the 360, and the reason why that didn't become my main console, was because I didn't have a hard drive. The reason why the Xbox 360 Arcade was cheap was because it did not come with a hard drive, and I never ended up getting a hard drive because a hard drive back then was like $100. So yeah, that wasn't happening, at least for a while. And the only games it came with were Lego Indiana Jones, and I believe it was also Lego Batman. And those games were okay, but really weren't enough to get me into the console. And of course, I didn't know what the hell Xbox Live was back then because I was a kid and I didn't really look up stuff on the internet that much. I didn't really know that much about the industry and about what was going on. But really, like I said, the main reason why I didn't get into the 360 was because I didn't have a hard drive. Therefore, I couldn't really get any new games because I would have ran out of space pretty easily. It came with some shitty memory card that didn't even held save data for one game. And that was Indiana Jones. So yeah, I couldn't really get into any more games because of that. To get a hard drive was pretty expensive, and back then I don't think my parents were willing to. They eventually got it, but this was by the time that I already got my PS3. And I've already told the story, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already know the story because I said it in previous videos. But it was pretty much my 11th birthday. I got it around that time. And I got the fat PS3, played a few games on that, and I enjoyed it. But eventually, after a very short period of time actually, it was actually on Christmas Day. What a great Christmas surprise. Christmas Day was when my first PS3 decided to break down and not work anymore. So my parents felt so bad that my console broke down because obviously they got me PS3 games for Christmas and I couldn't use my Christmas presents, that they actually went out, this was like the day after Christmas or 2 days after Christmas, whatever it was, and actually got me a new console. So that was great of them to do that. They really didn't have to. They could have been tough luck, but they were nice enough to get me a new console. So they got me the PS3 Slim, and that's really when I started going, because I actually had a working console. The fat PS3 that I got was 80 gigabytes, so I couldn't really hold that much data. So I actually ran out of data pretty quickly before the console ended up breaking down anyway. I don't know. It didn't get a yellow light of death. Something fucking happened to it. I don't know why it broke like that, but it broke down. But since the PS3 Slim came with 250 gigabytes, that's when I really started to get going. And also, the PS3 was my first real exposure to online gaming. I never did Xbox Live on the 360. I never played online the PS2. I didn't even know that was a thing until I had the PS3 already. And of course I played online the Wii, but Wii Online was nothing special. Especially since playing online on the Wii was an absolute bitch. I actually had to call my friend on a phone to actually get a match set up in Mario Kart. Mario Kart Wii. That was fun. Playing online Mario Kart with Wii with my friend.
So you think you know Wix. Do you really? Completely different vibes and aesthetics.
Was fun, but I remember playing on the PS3, like, man, playing online is so much easier than it's ever been. So I ended up really appreciating that, especially since it was free back then. Now you have to pay for it. But back then, Xbox Live you had to pay for, and PSN was free. So I loved the fact that I had a free service, and I just loved PSN back then. PSN back then had its flaws, of course, with Sony getting hacked and all that shit that was going on back then, and there were a lot of issues with PSN. But were there really any more issues back then than there are now? The paid service? How many times on Christmas Day was PS4 servers offline? I remember when I first got the PS4, which was like a month after launch. It was for Christmas. I got lucky, by the way. There were only 6 left PS4s in stock on Amazon. There were only 6 PS4s left, and I actually got my hands on one of them. Very lucky, because back then, I'm sure you guys remember, in 2013, finding a PS4, you were more likely to find a hot 20-year-old virgin than to actually find a PS4 on the shelves. It was a bitch and a half to get the PS4 back then. But I was lucky enough to get it. But when I got it, couldn't use the online features. The online services were fucked up because the servers were clogged up or whatever, which I think is pathetic, honestly. You have a paid service, you have to pay for the service, and you have instances where there are just full days where, the servers are offline because there's too much demand. Big companies like Sony can't handle demand like that. It's ridiculous. But that would be the first reason why I think that the 7th generation is the best generation, because it definitely had a great impact on the gaming industry because it really made online gaming mainstream. I know 6th generation had online gaming, but it's not comparable to how easy it was to get online on 7th generation. Getting on PSN and Xbox Live was easy, unlike the PS2. And it was also the first generation where digital really started taking off. I don't think digital was even a thing back in 6th generation, other than PC, of course. But we're not really talking about PC here. We're talking about console generations. So that's another thing. It kind of goes hand in hand with revolutionizing online gaming. Because of that, it allowed for the digital market to grow rapidly. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm very grateful that I don't have to go to GameStop anymore to get my games, especially when I was like 15, 16. You know, I couldn't go to the fucking GameStop without my mother. They refused to sell me an M-rated game, so that was a bitch. I also don't miss midnight release pre-order lines. I don't miss pre-order lines in general. You know, when a game comes out and you pre-order it and the line is just fucking long, it's out the door. I remember at the mall, at GameStop, the line was just crazy whenever a new Call of Duty came out or any other game came out. But because 7th generation really allowed for digital gaming to take off, it really made our lives easier. You know, people say a lot of bad things about digital, how horrible digital is, but I actually prefer digital gaming over buying physical copies of games. You don't have to worry about your game getting scratched, lost, or anything else that can happen. And it's honestly been many, many, many years since I've ever stepped foot into a GameStop. You look at my physical collection for current gen games, and it's pretty small. I maybe have about 5 or 6 8th generation physical copies, and that's including the PS4 and Xbox One. Now, more recently, I've been buying physical copies of games, but that has more to do with the backwards compatibility thing on the Xbox One. It's much cheaper and much easier to get a physical 360 game than getting a digital 360 game. But yeah, those are definitely 2 solid reasons why 7th generation was the best generation, because the 2 biggest innovations that occurred during the 7th generation was online gaming, being able to play online with your friends easily, and using that online connectivity to buy digital goods. Some of my best, and I'm sure anybody who's listening or watching, their best moments probably are online also. Online gaming is great, and the 7th generation really revolutionized online gaming, made it much more mainstream, made it much easier than previous generations that kind of had it going on, but it wasn't really that good, like SegaNet on the Dreamcast, or like I said, the PS2 online. But some of my best memories, like one of my favorite games of all time was Red Dead Redemption, right? Absolutely love the online. But now that we're talking about games, gaming was fucking on fire. In 2009, 2010, so many amazing games were coming out.
Okay. I'm gonna make this quite quick because I'm not gonna, have time to do the next video here. We'll get to it another time, but Okay, so I'm gonna speak about this particular video, which I'm gonna do for almost every video here. So, now, the main points of this guy, of Cynical Gamer, is the impact of the industry. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that, I think, yes, it is true that it did revolutionize, the gaming industry. Sure, sure, there are some games like Call of Duty or Madden that really just stung up the gaming industry as a whole. But you gotta admit, there's some really good, very good, like, popular series that we got now. Gears of War, Halo, any other game that is, what is it, that it is like Mafia, LA Noire, Red Dead Redemption, the GTA series is still going strong in that respect, and Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls as well is a series that needs to be addressed. Not many people talk about that one. I think Skyrim too, but I heard Skyrim has a lot of problems. But there were a lot of great blockbuster titles, and of course, online was a prevalent thing in the seventh generation, even as well. Even as well, with the servers just being a pain for the PS3, but as well, the way that online was changed through the seventh generation was amazing. The fact that we got more exclusive games during that point in time as well really changed the fact. And it caused companies to kind of redefine what we know of the into the next generation, and that's what people kind of seem to forget, when it comes to this. So, it's just something as well that I want to make a point out of. So, just something to think about. Now, I'll be honest, I think seventh generation isn't as strong as the sixth or the fifth generation. It's not as strong as the fifth generation. Let's leave it at that. It's not as strong as the fifth generation, because think about it, and I'll be the first to point out, the generation 5 was pretty good. The N64, PS2, and the original Xbox were really good. Were really good systems, had really great games, and was the start of many things. And of course, the seventh generation can be counted that as well. But at the end of the day, I think you guys, seventh generation just cannot be beaten. Just cannot be beaten at all. And I think I think as much as people want to make a whole argument about why the seventh generation was the greatest or wasn't the greatest, I think it stands as a 50-50. It was great, and it wasn't great at some points. So it was kind of a mixed mash. So so that's what I think when it comes to that. So tell me your thoughts, in the chat, or tell me your thoughts in the comments, because I'm gonna be ending the stream soon. So, but thank you so much, guys, for coming to this stream. I know, if anybody didn't get to have their discussion here in the chat, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream for now. So I hope everybody has had a good Sunday so far. If anybody can subscribe, or just just view a video, or view a short, anything that helps, a podcast episode, anything that helps, I really would encourage you guys to go ahead and watch the content, because there's good content on here that that you might not want to miss, that you won't want to miss at all. And of course, I'm gonna put my second channel here as well. I'm gonna be posting new content to the second channel whenever possible. I'm having some brand new ideas come up when it comes to the second channel, so look forward to the new content coming soon, to random stuff. So, but anyways, thank you so much for viewing this live stream. I really would like to say thank you to everybody from the bottom of my heart. I really would encourage you to watch the content, watch the lives whenever you can, and if possible, if you guys can go ahead and get notifications for the lives as well. I know that YouTube is really dumbing down on the system of the subscription for my content, but at the very least, go ahead and check out my content, check out what I have to offer here, because honestly, it's great content here, and you guys don't want to miss this. It really is good. So, yeah.